There exists a thought so powerful, so transformative, that if you grasp it, if you dare to hold it in the deepest part of your mind, it will rearrange the very fabric of your existence. This is not a wishful idea, not a fleeting moment of inspiration that vanishes with the wind, but a thought that once planted will take root and command every event in your life to bow before it. What if I told you that your entire world, every triumph and every sorrow, is nothing but a mirror reflecting the nature of this one thought? Would you dismiss it as fantasy? Or would you dare to listen, to truly listen, and discover the secret that has been hidden in plain sight? There is a law that governs all things, yet it is not written in books or carved into stone. It is etched in the very consciousness that shapes the life you are living now. You have been told that fate is beyond your control, that circumstances dictate your path, and that the world outside determines the quality of your days. But what if the opposite were true? What if everything you see, every person you meet, and every opportunity that unfolds before you is not happening to you? Look back upon your life, and you will see the evidence. Have you not noticed how certain patterns repeat themselves? How the same struggles, the same disappointments seem to circle back as if drawn by some unseen force? And yet, when your mind was lifted in moments of pure certainty, when you believed without question in something greater, did not the world shift in ways you could not explain? You have already witnessed this law in motion, whether or not you recognized it. But now, it is time to claim it. This one thought, this sacred, undeniable realization, is that your life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Every event, every circumstance is a response to the state of your inner being. If you dare to accept this, not merely as an idea, but as the living truth of your existence, then you will come to understand the limitless power within you. For as long as you believe that forces outside yourself hold the key to your destiny, you will remain a servant to the shifting tides of the world. But the moment you awaken to the truth, the moment you fully embrace the knowledge that the world is but the outpicturing of your own consciousness, you step into dominion over your own life. Think of the great moments in your past, the times when you longed for something and it came to you in ways you could not have predicted. You may have called it coincidence, luck, or divine favor, but it was none of these. It was the outworking of the thoughts you held in your mind with conviction. What you consistently believe, what you truly accept as real, must take shape in the world around you. This is not speculation, it is law. And once you recognize this, you will never again allow fear or doubt to dictate your path. Consider the people you admire, those who seem to walk through life with an air of certainty, attracting success, love, and abundance with effortless ease. Do you think they are merely fortunate? No, they have mastered the art of sustaining a vision within themselves so strongly that the world has no choice but to conform. They do not chase success, they become it. They do not beg for love, they embody it. They do not struggle to find opportunities. They assume they are already in possession of all they seek, and so the world reshapes itself to make it so. The key is this: you must not wait for evidence before you believe. The world will always reflect the convictions you hold in secret. If you wait for proof before you accept the truth of your own power, you will wait forever. The transformation begins the moment you assume the state of being that you desire to manifest. Do not say, "I will be successful now," and let every thought, every feeling, every action align with this knowing. This is not about empty affirmations or wishful thinking. It is about embodying the reality you seek before it is seen. The greatest mistake people make is believing that their circumstances must change before they can feel different. But the law is exact. Your inner world must change first, and then the outer world will follow. You cannot escape this truth, for it is the very foundation upon which reality is built. Look around you. Everything you see, every achievement, every failure, is the result of a thought sustained long enough to crystallize into form. Nothing appears in your world by accident. The job you have, the relationships you experience, the opportunities that come or do not come, are all echoes of the state of mind you have accepted as your own. If you wish to change your life, change the thoughts you dwell upon. Ask yourself now, what is the dominant thought that governs your life? Is it one of lack, of fear, of limitation? If so, do not be surprised when your world reflects it back to you. But if you dare to replace it with a thought of certainty, of abundance, of unshakable faith in the unseen, then watch as your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. The moment you persist in this thought, refusing to waver despite appearances, the universe will move mountains to make it your reality. There is no force outside of you holding you back. There is no fate beyond your control. There is only the belief you hold most deeply, shaping your world in every moment. Choose now what you will believe and hold to it with unwavering conviction, for the world will not argue with you, it will simply reflect you. The mind is the workshop of creation, the unseen force shaping every event, encounter, and circumstance. It does not rest, nor does it falter in its task. It listens with perfect obedience to the thought you hold most persistently, crafting your reality with unwavering precision. There are no accidents in this world, no random misfortunes or strokes of luck. There is only the outpicturing of the mind's deepest convictions. The truth is simple, yet it escapes most because they look outside themselves for answers. They believe the world must change first before they can think differently. But the wise know that all transformation begins within, and the moment a new thought is consistently accepted, the world must rearrange itself to reflect it. If you doubt this, look to your own life. Think back to the moments when you were certain of an outcome, whether good or bad. Did it not come to pass? Recall a time when you feared the worst, when you allowed doubt to consume you, and did the worst not unfold exactly as you imagined? And what of the moments when you stood firm in faith, when you knew beyond reason that something was yours? Did not the world comply? These are not coincidences. They are proof of the law in motion. The world is only ever reflecting the state of your mind. To accept this fully is to step into the highest form of power. It means no longer blaming circumstances, no longer looking to others for permission to succeed, no longer waiting for a sign. It means understanding that the only true movement occurs in consciousness, and as consciousness shifts, so does everything in its path. There is no force stronger than a mind that has assumed a new reality. A man who truly believes he is wealthy cannot remain in lack. A woman who embodies love in its fullness cannot be abandoned or rejected. It is impossible, for the world must align with what is firmly held within. But here lies the challenge. Most do not persist in their assumption long enough to see the fruits of it. They waver, they look to appearances, they let doubt creep in, and so they remain bound to the cycle of their past. The world tempts them to believe in struggle, in effort, in hard-won success, yet those who truly understand the law know that effort is not the way, struggle is not the means. It is the quiet, unwavering assumption that changes all things. It is the stillness of knowing, the inner certainty that does not beg, does not chase, does not plead, but simply is. Think of a seed planted in the earth. It does not strain to grow, nor does it doubt whether it will become what it is meant to be. It simply exists in the fullness of its potential, and in time the outer world reflects what was already true within. So it is with you. The moment you accept a new belief, the process has begun, and though you may not see immediate evidence, the change is already in motion. But here is where most falter. They dig up the seed before it can take root. They doubt, they question, they look to the world for validation, and in doing so, they delay their own manifestation. To master this law, you must hold to your assumption as though it were already fact. You must refuse to let the outer world dictate what is possible. The world will test you, it will present the appearance of the old reality, but these are mere shadows, echoes of past thoughts that no longer hold power, unless you allow them to. The wise do not react to appearances, for they know that all things must shift in accordance with the state assumed within. They persist in the vision unwavering until the world has no choice but to yield. Ask yourself now, what do you believe to be true about yourself? Not what you wish to be true, not what you hope for, but what you truly accept as fact. For it is this that determines your reality. A person who believes they are unworthy, no matter how much they long for love or success, but the moment they assume a new state, the moment they dare to believe they are already what they desire to be, the world must reflect it. There is no other possibility. This is why many fail in their desires. They do not believe in them. They wish, they hope, but they do not embody the state of already having, and so they remain trapped, waiting for proof before they accept what must first be believed within. But the law is clear. Assume it now, and the proof will follow. There is no other way. The world is filled with those who struggle, who fight against circumstances, who exhaust themselves in pursuit of a dream they have not yet dared to claim as their own. And yet, there are others, those who seem to glide effortlessly through life, who attract success with ease, who are loved without question, who always seem to be in the right place at the right time. The difference is not in luck, nor in ability, but in belief. The successful do not chase success, they know it is already theirs. The loved do not beg for affection. They know they are worthy of it, they assume it, they embody it, and so the world has no choice but to comply. And now the question falls upon you. What thought will you choose to hold? What reality will you dare to assume? Will you continue to see yourself as a victim of circumstance, or will you step into the power that has always been yours? The choice is yours alone, for no one else can think for you, no one else can believe for you, and no one else can assume a new state on your behalf. If you wish to change your life, do not look to the world for answers. Look within. The answer has always been there. It is the one thought that can transform all things. The realization that you are the creator of your reality, that your mind, your assumption, your belief is the only true power in this world. Accept this, embody it, and the world will bend to your will. The moment you dare to believe in the unseen as if it were already seen, you will step into a new reality, one that has been waiting for you all along. The mind is the birthplace of all things, seen and unseen, the silent architect that molds reality according to the blueprint of thought. If you could grasp this fully, not as an idea but as the unshakable truth of existence, you would understand that nothing stands between you and the life you desire except the thoughts you permit to dominate your consciousness. The world has taught you to seek change in action, in effort, in struggle, but the wise know that all true change occurs in the unseen, in the quiet corridors of the mind, where the unseen becomes the inevitable. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are conscious of being. This truth is difficult for many to accept because it demands responsibility. It leaves no room for blame, no space for excuses, no one else to point to for the circumstances of life. And yet, in this truth, there is the greatest freedom. For if it is your consciousness that shapes your world, then there is no limit to what you may become. There is no force outside of you dictating your fate. You need not depend on luck, on opportunity, or on the approval of others. The only thing required is a shift in consciousness, a willingness to assume the feeling of already having that which you seek. Think of the times when you have longed for something, when you have placed all your hope in a distant future, believing that happiness, success, or love would come once you achieved some external goal. And yet, did you not find that even when the goal was reached, the longing remained? This is because you were chasing shadows, seeking in the world what could only be found within. The world does not give you joy, fulfillment, or peace. It only reflects the state of mind in which you dwell. If you seek joy, assume joy now. If you seek success, assume success now. If you seek love, assume you are already loved. And the world, without effort, will mirror that assumption back to you. Many make the mistake of believing that the external world holds power over them, that events, circumstances, and people dictate their experience. They see lack and believe in lack. They see obstacles and believe in struggle, and so the cycle continues, endlessly repeating itself because the thought is never changed. But those who know the law understand that circumstances are but reflections of past thoughts. If you do not like what you see, change the thought that created it. For the world is but an echo, and an echo cannot persist once the original sound has been altered. Consider the nature of a dream. When you are lost in sleep, do you not believe in the reality of the dream? Do you not react to it, feel fear or joy, respond as though it were real? And yet, when you awaken, you understand that it was merely a projection of the mind, an illusion with no power outside of the consciousness that sustained it. So it is with life. The world you see is no different from the dream state. It is an outpicturing of your consciousness, a projection sustained by your belief. When you awaken to this, when you truly understand that you are the dreamer shaping the dream, you will cease to be controlled by appearances. You will know that you hold the power to change the dream by changing the belief that sustains it. The great mistake people make is believing that change must come from the outside. They wait for signs, for proof, for circumstances to shift before they allow themselves to believe in a new reality. But the wise understand that the process is reversed. The belief must come first. The assumption must be unwavering, and when it is held with conviction, the world will follow, for it has no choice but to do so. There is no pleading with the universe, no hoping, no waiting, there is only knowing. The moment you assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, the transformation has begun. And if you persist in that assumption, refusing to entertain the old state, the world will conform, and what once seemed impossible will become inevitable. There is no power in effort, there is no power in struggle. The only power lies in the state of consciousness you accept as your own. If you believe you must fight for success, then success will always be a battle. If you believe love is hard to find, then love will always elude you. If you believe happiness is conditional, then conditions will always appear to keep it just out of reach. But if you dare to assume that all you desire is already yours, if you refuse to see yourself as anything less than what you wish to be, then the world must rearrange itself to make that assumption real. You have done this before, whether you realized it or not. Think of a time when you felt a deep certainty about something, when you knew without a doubt that a thing was going to happen. Did it not come to pass? Perhaps you had no evidence, no reason to believe, and yet you did, and the world confirmed your belief. This was not chance. It was the law in motion. The only difference between those who manifest their desires effortlessly and those who struggle is persistence in assumption. One believes unwaveringly while the other doubts. But doubt is a choice, and so is faith. You must decide which will govern your mind. If you understand this, truly understand it, you will see that nothing is beyond your reach. The barriers you perceive are illusions, constructs of the mind that dissolve the moment you stop believing in them. There are no limits except those you accept. There is no delay except the time it takes for you to assume the new state with conviction. The world is not punishing you, nor is it withholding from you. It is only responding, reflecting the state in which you most often dwell. And so the question remains, what will you assume to be true? Will you continue to believe in limitations, in struggle, in waiting for proof before you dare to believe? Or will you step into the knowing that all you seek is already yours, waiting for you to claim it? The choice is always yours, for you are, and have always been, the master of your reality. The mind is the infinite storehouse of all possibilities, an unshaken foundation upon which the seen and unseen are built. Yet most drift through life unaware of its limitless nature, believing themselves to be at the mercy of chance, of circumstance, of forces outside their control. But there are no external forces shaping your destiny, only your own consciousness, projected onto the canvas of life. If you could grasp this truth, not as a fleeting idea, but as an absolute law, you would never again feel powerless. You would never again wait for conditions to change, for opportunities to arise, for doors to open. You would know that the door has always been within you, and the moment you believe it is open, the world must conform. Most people do not live, they react. They allow what they see to dictate what they believe, and so they remain bound by the same conditions, repeating the same patterns, caught in the same cycle. They wake each day expecting the world to remain as it was, and so it does. But those who understand the power of the mind know that expectation is the key. What you expect, you create. What you assume, you become. You do not need to fight against circumstances, for circumstances are merely the reflection of the past. You need only assume the feeling of the reality you desire, and the world will bend to accommodate that assumption. This is not a matter of wishing or hoping. It is not a game of empty affirmation spoken without conviction. It is the deep, unwavering knowing that what you desire is already yours. It is the understanding that the world outside is powerless to dictate your life. that all change must begin in the unseen. A person who truly knows they are wealthy does not question whether money will come. They move through life with the quiet confidence of one who already possesses it. A person who believes in their own worth does not seek validation from others. They walk in the knowing that they are already loved, already valued. And because they hold this assumption as true, the world must confirm it. You have seen this play out before. Think of those who always seem to attract good fortune, those who effortlessly find success, those who are surrounded by love and abundance. It is not chance, nor is it luck. It is their consciousness made manifest. They have assumed the identity of one who is blessed, and so they are. And think, too, of those who struggle endlessly, who never seem to escape hardship, who always find themselves in the same painful situations. This, too, is not chance. It is their assumption playing out, the same thoughts repeated until they solidify into reality. The world is nothing more than a mirror. It does not judge, it does not discriminate, it does not choose favorites. It simply reflects back to you what you believe to be true. If you believe the world is harsh and unforgiving, that is what you will experience. If you believe opportunity is scarce, you will find nothing but closed doors. But if you dare to believe in abundance, in ease, in the limitless nature of life, the world must reflect that belief as well. The greatest mistake people make is looking to the world for proof before they believe. They wait for success before they feel successful. They wait for love before they feel loved. They wait for opportunities before they believe in abundance. And so they remain trapped. For the world can only ever reflect what is already assumed within. Those who master this law understand that belief must come first. They do not wait for proof, they create it. They assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and because they persist in that assumption, it hardens into fact. You must understand that your thoughts are not idle. They are not fleeting whispers that disappear without consequence. Every thought, every belief, every assumption is a cause, and the world is its effect. There is no action without first a thought. There is no success without first a belief in success. There is no transformation without first assuming the identity of the transformed. The law is absolute. There is no exception, no special case, no circumstance that can override it. The only question is whether you will use it consciously or allow it to use you. The power to create is already yours, but it requires discipline. It requires the willingness to persist in the unseen, to believe in the invisible before it becomes visible. The world will present illusions. It will tempt you to return to old beliefs. It will reflect the remnants of past assumptions. But the wise do not react to these shadows. They remain steadfast in their new assumption, knowing that what is seen is merely a delay, an echo of the past that will soon dissolve. If you desire change, stop looking to the world for confirmation. Stop seeking validation from those who do not yet see what you see. Stop measuring progress by what is happening outside of you. The change must happen within first, and once it does, the world has no choice but to follow. It is not a question of if, it is a question of when. And that when is determined only by you, by your persistence, by your refusal to entertain any reality other than the one you have chosen. Think now of the life you truly desire. Not the life you think is possible based on your current circumstances, but the life you would live if there were no limits, no doubts, no external conditions. See yourself as that person. Feel what it would be like to already be them. Move through the world as if it were already true. Let go of the old self, the old doubts, the old limitations. For as long as you remain attached to them, they will remain attached to you. But the moment you fully accept the new reality, the moment you assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, the world will shift. And the process is inevitable. It does not require effort, only belief. It does not demand struggle, only faith. The world has taught you that success is hard, that change is difficult, that life is filled with obstacles. But these are only the beliefs of those who do not understand the law, those who do know that all things are possible to the one who believes. They do not waste time fighting against conditions. They assume the state they desire, and in doing so, they call it into being. This is the power that has always been yours. It is not given by another, nor can it be taken away. It has always been within you, waiting for you to recognize it. You do not need to earn it, for it is already yours. You need only claim it. The moment you stop seeing yourself as separate from what you desire, the moment you assume the feeling of already having it, the separation dissolves, and the world must reflect that new state. Most will never do this, for most will never believe it is possible. They will remain bound by their senses, by the illusions of the world, by the limitations they have accepted. But for those who dare to believe, for those who persist in the unseen despite all appearances, there are no limits. There is no dream too great, no desire too distant, no transformation too impossible. The only question that remains is whether you will step into this truth or continue to live by the limitations of the past. The choice has always been and will always be yours alone. The moment you understand that your thoughts are the architects of your reality, the moment you realize that every experience, every circumstance, every event in your life is the direct reflection of the state you have accepted as true, everything changes. The burden of waiting is lifted. The chains of doubt dissolve. The illusion of powerlessness vanishes. You no longer wander through life as a victim of circumstance, but as the creator of all you experience. You no longer react to the world, but command it, knowing that all things seen are simply echoes of past thoughts, and all things unseen are waiting for you to bring them forth. Yet, many resist this truth, because it demands responsibility. It means that if life is not what they wish it to be, the cause is not in the world, but in themselves. This is a difficult thing for the mind to accept, for it has been conditioned to believe in external power, in luck, in fate, in the whims of others. It has been taught to fear, to doubt, to wait. But those who truly grasp this truth see no burden in it, only freedom. For if all creation begins in the mind, then nothing stands between you and the life you desire except your willingness to assume it is already yours. Think of how effortlessly the world has reflected your past beliefs. Think of the moments when you expected misfortune and it came. Think of the times when you assumed things would go wrong and they did. This was not coincidence. It was not chance. It was simply the law in motion, responding precisely to the state you assumed. Now consider what would happen if you applied that same certainty in the opposite direction. If, instead of assuming failure, you assumed success. If, instead of expecting difficulty, you expected ease. If, instead of believing in delay, you believed in the immediate fulfillment of your desires. The greatest error people make is believing that they must do something outside of themselves to bring about change. They believe they must struggle, work harder, push against circumstances. But those who understand the law know that the only work to be done is within. There is no need to fight the world, there is only the need to shift the mind. The moment you assume the feeling of already being the person you wish to be, the transformation has begun. The world may not change in an instant, for the outer world is but a delayed reflection of the inner. But if you persist, if you hold to the new state as though it were already fact, the world has no choice but to yield. You have already seen this in moments of your life, though you may not have realized it. Think of a time when you simply knew something was going to happen, when you had no doubt, no fear, no hesitation. Did it not come to pass? Think of a time when you believed without question that a situation would resolve itself, that an opportunity would arise, that something was meant to be, and it did. That was not luck. That was the power of assumption in motion. The difference between those who manifest effortlessly and those who struggle is simple. One believes absolutely, while the other doubts. One persists in the assumption of already having, while the other waits for the world to show proof. But proof does not come first, belief does. Many people spend their lives seeking signs, waiting for confirmation, looking for reasons to believe. But the law does not work in that way. It is not the world that convinces you, it is you who must convince the world. If you seek signs before you believe, you will only ever see reflections of your uncertainty. But if you decide, with absolute conviction, that what you desire is already yours, then the world must arrange itself to make that belief a fact. The process is not one of waiting, it is one of knowing. Consider a person who desires wealth but constantly affirms their lack. They say, I want more money, but their dominant thought is, I do not have enough. And so the world reflects that state, reinforcing the lack they believe in. Now imagine that same person shifting their assumption. Instead of wanting, they begin to feel as though they already possess abundance. They walk with confidence. They make decisions as though money is no longer an issue. They assume the identity of one who is wealthy. Though the outer world may still reflect past beliefs for a time, if they persist in the new assumption, the world must conform. Opportunities arise where none existed before, doors open effortlessly, the conditions rearrange themselves to align with their belief. The same is true for love, for health, for success in all areas. If you believe love is hard to find, it will be. If you believe you are not enough, the world will confirm it. If you believe life is a struggle, struggle will meet you at every turn. But if you dare to assume the opposite, if you dare to believe in the reality of your desire before it is visible, then it must become visible. This is not philosophy, this is not theory. This is the absolute law of consciousness, and it is as unshakable as the rising of the sun. You must train yourself to think from the end. Do not think of your desire as something separate from you, something to be reached in the future. Think from it as though it were already yours. See yourself as already successful, already loved, already abundant. Do not wonder when or how it will happen, for those questions only serve to introduce doubt. Instead, rest in the knowing that it is done. Walk through life with the quiet confidence of one who already possesses all they seek, and soon the world will have no choice but to match your assumption. Most will not do this, for most will not believe it is possible. They will continue to look to the world for evidence, and so they will continue to receive only what they have already believed. But for those who dare to test this law, for those who hold unwaveringly to the new state, regardless of appearances, the results are inevitable. They do not wonder if it will happen. They know it must. They do not entertain opposing thoughts, for they understand that to waver is to delay. They simply assume, and in that assumption, they create. Think of the greatest figures in history, those who have shaped the world with their vision. They did not wait for proof before they believed. They did not seek permission from the world to dream. They assumed their greatness long before the world recognized it, and because they did, the world had no choice but to acknowledge what they had already accepted as fact. The question is not whether this law works. The question is whether you will use it. You have always been using it, though perhaps unconsciously. Every experience in your life is the result of past assumptions, whether wanted or unwanted. The difference now is that you have the choice to direct it, to wield it with intention, rather than allowing it to be dictated by old beliefs. Will you continue to see yourself as a victim of chance, of circumstance, of conditions outside your control? Or will you step into the knowing that you are the creator, that you have always been creating, that every thought, every assumption, every belief is shaping the reality you experience? There is no limit to what you may become, no barrier to what you may achieve, no condition that cannot be overturned by the power of the mind. But you must decide, and you must persist, for the world does not yield to the hesitant, to the uncertain, to those who waver between belief and doubt. It yields only to the one who knows with absolute certainty that what they have assumed is already theirs. And so the choice remains. Will you continue to live by the limitations of the past, or will you step into the limitless reality of your own creation? Will you wait for the world to give you proof, or will you become the proof yourself? For the world has never been the master of your fate. It has only ever been the mirror of your mind. The power to transform your life has always been within you. Every thought you hold, every belief you nurture, every assumption you persist in is shaping the world you experience. There are no external forces deciding your fate, only your own consciousness made manifest. The moment you accept this truth, you step into your rightful role as the creator of your reality. No longer must you wait for circumstances to change, for opportunities to arise, for permission to succeed. The world is your mirror, reflecting back to you the state you hold as true. So assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Persist in it despite appearances, and watch as the unseen becomes seen. There are no limits except those you impose upon yourself. Believe boldly, live confidently, and know that the life you desire is already yours, the moment you dare to assume it so.